So we have purposes of zoning, certainly protecting property values, natural resources, preventing nuisances, and so forth. We don't have too much of a problem with overcrowding here in UB, do we? And it can be difficult, people get all riled up sometimes over land use decisions, which is actually why the state, these pending laws or the laws being considered would take some of that decision making away from local government. And somebody proposes building housing, especially higher density, and really get the whole neighborhood there on it. So being prepared, having good information, deliberation, talking amongst the planning commission and ZBA, and then documenting everything, and having good file systems, on each permit and each decision is essential. So I'm glad you're zoning administrators here, because a lot of this is on initial contact. Never answer questions from memory. Note all contacts, keeping good notes, and keeping those in the file. Accepting only complete applications and then having deadlines for doing that. For the planning commission or the ZBA, you have preparation, you all know what the case is. Read the materials, do a site visit. There's something in here about ex parte. What is that? Oh, yeah, when you're out looking at the site, a neighbor will see you, of course, and come running out, hey, what's going on in here? There's blah, blah, blah going on. It's important not to engage with that. It's called ex parte contact. It's always good to have written permission on the site. And then when you have that big housing development, your room is full or whatever the project is, have some rules for speakers, during public comment. You can certainly limit time, remind everybody to be respectful. And that's getting harder these days. Not everybody is that way. And follow the rules, have a timer. I don't know if you ever have a case like that here in Carp Township or not, but it's good to for the chair to keep a tight rein on the difficult job. And certainly, if there's a whole room full of people, you might say, is there somebody acting as a spokesperson, for a group of people, rather than hearing the same things. And then, of course, rules for the people behind the table, how you communicate through the chair, deliberate and open. Don't text somebody during the meeting. It happens, and certainly feel free to express opinions. And then having those standards in the ordinance actually makes your job a lot easier. And then your motion to approve or deny, all this should be in the motion. Findings of fact. Why? What are the reasons for the decision? Any conditions? And then having a vote. This stuff all becomes really important if you ever get taken to court. I hope you never do. what happens. So, you know, having documentation, and if there's any condition, you know, well, I move we approve this provided that the applicant does something. Has to be attached to that motion. So here's a special land use approval, and it cites the case number, and here are the elements, standards that we meet, reasons. It will be compatible, will not potentially adverse neighborhood, adequately served by public utilities, blah, blah, blah. So it's hard to stay out of court sometimes on zoning stuff, but you can do it. Get through, and again, a big one with risk management is avoiding conflicts of interest, being consistent, treating everybody fairly, having good records. Does anybody have any training for planning commission? We're going to offer the citizen planner course, open starting April. Have you heard of that program?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's through MSU Extension. Brent Newman teaches that. It's very good. It's a time commitment, and there's a cost. I don't know if your township budget's money for training. It's being offered in whole.
You just email me the information on it.
Yeah. I'll do that. So, conflicts of interest. This is hard to avoid in small communities. So this is pretty typical. What do you think? Is that a conflict of interest?
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, I would think so.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's important to identify what that might be. And here are some of the conflicts. Well, you're the applicant. Well, if you are, then you need to leave the room during deliberation.
Okay.
Relative, neighbor, you know, I work for a firm that works for the applicant, business associate, even a competitor for a business requesting something. So if you think you have a conflict of interest, chances are you do. So if you say, I think I have a conflict of interest, and you disclose what that is, they should, ZBA or the PCE planning commission should actually vote on that to allow you to leave. If it's on the ZBA, you call an alternative. Yeah, a lot of court cases over conflict of interest. When it doesn't go the way the applicant wants it. So, you know, you're gonna have a master plan, you stick to it, you be patient, think long range, be persistent. Questions? Okay. Good. Is that helpful?
Yes, very.
Good. Okay, I'm going to give you a little just overview of the zoning ordinance here. And again, overwhelming compared to what you have now. But it is for a reason. It's to protect you in the township and provide guidance for the zoning administrator and the planning commission and the ZBA. So Article 1 is boilerplate. I won't go into that too deeply, but take a look at it, the purpose and so forth. And then definitions, you can see we got 32 pages, definitions in this one. And you need all those. And we have Article 3 that deals with the zoning map. There's rules for interpretations of district boundaries. Article 4, and that's something that will be your homework, is to really take a good look at that, because that has a table in it that defines what you're permitted in special uses. We'll take a look at that in a minute. And then Article 5 are the setback requirements. These came right out of your existing zoning ordinance setbacks. Article 6 just deals with some things like the shorelines, retaining wall, grading permits, and so forth. Now, Article 7 is a very important one because it has a lot of kind of the catch-all for things, if you will, general provisions, like every building has to have water, every home has to have potable water and sewage disposal, lots of record division lots, accessory uses, how you deal with projections in yards like decks and balconies and stairwells and that kind of stuff. Height, exceptions, things like towers, church spires, and so forth. Dealing with building grades and film to increase the height. And throughout the ordinance, you're going to see little sections called reserved for future use. And the reason is that we throw those in there is to provide space in case you need to add something down the road. And then you don't have to renumber everything.
Wow, nice.
Because you never know. So we got a few of them scattered throughout these sections. Dealing with temporary buildings, home occupations, minimum building floor areas, minimum requirements for single-family homes, condominium subdivisions. We talked a little bit about that before. Tearing down buildings, moving buildings, damaged buildings.
There's a section of land between the Big Iron River and M64 that's zoned for, what is that called? It's, people were given a tax break to develop it.
The Renaissance Zone?
Renaissance, no.
That's what it was called.
Is that what it was called, Renaissance Zone? I mean, Dan and I had 20 acres in there, and there had been some restrictions on, like, you couldn't build a house less than a certain size and stuff like that in that Renaissance Zone. But people that bought the land, it was parceled off, it was copper range land, and it was sold off in parcels and put into this Renaissance Zone. There was a time limit on it, like 20 years or 12 years or something.
That's all expired.
That's all expired by now, so I suppose that probably doesn't.
Yeah, so you're exempt from some taxes, is that right?
You were for a while, yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. And that reason was to get people to build there.
Yeah, but there was no utilities. You'd have to drill well,
Yeah. Which, outside
there wasn't much development done.
Never happened?
No. couple of houses got built.
Yeah, they were inexpensive too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had 900 feet of river frontage.
So dealing private road development, dock standards, I don't think you need that here. People don't build docks, and I'm just going to flag that right now. People don't build docks on Lake Superior, do they? Generally.
There might be some on some side rivers emptying into the lake.
Well, they might. Well, we'll take a look whether you need that or not.
That'd be one of those things you might want to leave in for future.
Yeah, might.
Yeah.
Keeping animals, livestock. So we're going to go through this section. We can actually do that today. To start, I don't want to keep you all too long, but we need to start going through this. Article 9, non-conforming lots, uses, and structures. We talked about that in the slideshow. So this has all the rules pertaining to that stuff. Article 10, special land uses. So in Article 4, where we identified what's permitted and what uses are permitted in the district, we would say by right or special or with conditions. So then Article 10 deals with that special and conditional use regulations. And here this last section, 10.12, is all the standards for those different uses. So that's a very important section also for you to take a look at. Article 12, plan unit development. This is just a lot of boilerplate, if you will, to how you deal with plan unit developments. I'm not sure you'll ever see one. They're so rare in UP, but it's in here in case you ever need it. Parking, loading requirements. You have to have standards. Same with landscape buffering and fencing. Article 16 is signs. Signs can sometimes be contentious. These are not overly restrictive at all. You'll see. Now we get into section Article 18, and that is all about the administration of the zoning ordinance. There's a lot there for the zoning administrator, but also outlines the planning commission's duties. Because you folks are going to go through the zoning ordinance, you're going to be educated, you're going to know it, but in 5 years, is the composition going to be the same? Planning commission, right? Yeah. People come and go. So the great idea with this model we use is that it's forever the process, and people can refer to it. So how do we handle that variance, or how do we deal with that special use? It's not just based on institutional knowledge; it's in your ordinance. I think that's really important. That's one of the strengths.
Well, we're really lacking that now.
Hmm?
We're really lacking in that area now.
Well, yeah, it's hard, it's hard stuff. So this has all the public notice requirements, everything for dealing with the various zoning approvals.
If someone asks for a special use and the neighboring property owners don't have a problem with it, you still have to have a public hearing.
Yes.
Okay, we never did that when we gave one. The neighboring property owners were okay with it. I'm thinking about Silver Sands. And, everybody around there said they were fine with it, but, we never did have a public.
Well, and then somebody sells and somebody else moves in, now they've got a big problem with it. Well, how did they get that?
Uh-huh.
How did they allow that?
Hearing on it.
So,
We didn't have a public hearing on it. Well, we had a special meeting, which was open to the public, and it was specifically to discuss that.
so that's why, okay, this all can be spelled out. Doesn't matter how you did it in the past. It's how you're gonna do it once you have this
Yeah.
new ordinance in place. And these are the kinds of things you really gotta be careful of, is, somebody, you get a hold of the guy down the streets, I mean, he's got a problem.
Yeah.
And then he finds out that you really shouldn't have a public hearing and that he should have been notified
Right.
or whatever. That's what we can run into problems. So Article 19 is zoning board of appeals, and again, we've got, it's all spelled out there in terms of your standards.
Who is responsible for notifying the neighboring property owners? The planning commission or the zoning
Well,
board?
Sometimes the zoning administrator does it.
Okay.
And I don't know who would do it, or it might be the clerk, okay? But you've got to
Township
create a
clerk.
list of the
Township
property owners within 300 feet. And then somebody has to be responsible for preparing the notice and then sending it out. So typically that's the zoning administrator who does that. Article 20 deals with amending the zoning ordinance. How that happens? You want to change the text or change the map. And then Article 21 is how we deal with violations and penalties. And then 22 is the transitional. What happens when this ordinance is adopted? What happens to the old one? And so forth.
Someone's in there.
That's it.
Doreen's in there right now.
Okay.
Okay. We'll start taking a look at this. Is everybody good yet? You want to keep working for a little bit?
2 hours. 2 hour minimum. If there's a 2 hour maximum, we said for public meetings.
Yeah, we've got over half an hour yet.
Okay, good.
Then we need to decide when we want to meet again. So I'll set a date for another meeting.
So Article 2, again, these are all the definitions. Some graphics here to help define special building height. So what we do on this, I don't know how you do it now, it's probably not defined in your ordinance, but this one does is it measures to the middle of the roof slope from the base floor. With different types of roofs. And how you measure the slope. So lots of words. And again, figuring out that average grade. I'll show you the different terms dealing with lot frontage, width, and depth. Different types of lots. lot line, front, rear, side, street. The graphics are helpful in defining what these different things are and what they mean. Yeah, we have lots of definitions for lots. So we do have a thing in here, in, sexually oriented businesses, nobody wants them in their town, but, we have something called the First Amendment in this country. So it's important to have good standards. And so these are and we do that. We're gonna limit it, of course, where it can go, but, not that anybody wants to do this, but you never know. So we have a lot of definitions here that so that we can have standards.
There were some questionable activities at the Contigo.
I'm sorry?
There were some questionable activities at the Contigo in the past.
Oh, is that right?
By a previous owner, yeah. Remember that?
Only in story.
Well, I remember, what was the name of the place in Bruce Crossing, too,
Oh, okay.
that there was allegations they had a trailer out back.
Oh. Well, they had.
What was the name of that guy who had that? He was kind of a character. He had a lot of radio
Erickson?
ads. Huh?
Erickson? Oh, I'm thinking Bruce Crosby.
This
I'm
is maybe
thinking
20, 30 years ago.
I think I remember going to dances there. There was a bar. I had live music people there.
So lots of definitions. Something might come up, you need to add them. So we also included some acronyms in here. Article 3 is the zoning map, zoning districts. So we're probably going to add one here for extraction.
Now, when you have the public hearing, do you frequently get people who come in and want their specific property zoned differently?
They might. But, it has to make sense too. For example, in White Pine, we're not just going to plunk in on one lot, commercial, we wanted to, preserve the neighborhood, certainly. Now, the schools are another issue that we ought to take a look at that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not proposing to look at the map today. We already kind of looked at it. We have rules for interpretation of boundaries, and center lines of streets. We're going to use property lines as much as possible. We use parcels, the parcel view. So this is the real important one, is the zoning districts and permitted uses. And I know there's a lot of boilerplate in here, but it becomes important for administration, especially. So on these tables, we identify what's permitted by right, or right with conditions, or special